We did minor reshoots on a movie of this scale. We did something like, I think in total, about a week of reshoots.
We're now going into our spoiler section.
Okay.
Tell us, what were some of your reshoots?
Lots of little things within scenes. We didn't have big on Days of Future Past, actually, we had about the same amount of days, but we had whole scenes that we shot that were new scenes. This was things like I added some lines. I'd really have to go back and think about it. This movie's a little blurry for me still. But like the scene where McAvoy wakes up on the rock for the first time, and he has that conversation with Fassbender where Fassbender says, whatever you saw in me, Charles, I buried it with my family. All of their interaction was a reshoot. Originally in the scene, it was just interaction between McAvoy and Oscar Isaac, Apocalypse. And we watched the scene, and it felt like Fassbender sort of disappeared for a section of the movie, and also it felt like part of what I love about this version of the X-Men, meaning as opposed to X1 through 3, the Fassbender, McAvoy, Jen Lawrence, Nick Holt X-Men is Michael and James, and I felt like we didn't have enough of that in this movie. I'd still want more of it than we have in this movie. So when we had the opportunity to reshoot, we did that. I rewrote Jen's monologue to Fassbender at the end, where she's like sort of trying to convince him to come to their aid. Originally, the way that was written was and shot was a little bit more like sort of a soldier talking to another soldier, because that's what she was for him, but it didn't feel personal and emotional enough, and it didn't really integrate Evan Peters into the scene. So we reshot that because I just wrote a better version of, or tried to write a better version of it. Things like that, as opposed to like on Days of Future Past, we had a huge thing, which which is we shot a whole sequence of the movie, like 10 minutes of the movie that had Anna Paquin's character in it, Rogue, and then we just lopped that out of the film at a certain point. And in doing that, it
came back on a Blu-ray.
Came back on the Blu-ray, yeah. But in doing that, it left big gaping holes in the film that we needed to fill with more sort of strategic reshoots. This film didn't have any of that.